Hello and happy Thursday, folks. Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. It's a little bit later than we're normally coming to you live, but it's for a very good reason. I have with me an incredibly special guest, not only for you, but also for me. A little bit of background about my guest, Kelly. She's the reason why I am here today. She is the reason why I pursued the path of coaching because of a conversation she was willing to have with me in the summer of 2018, back when I knew I needed to leave the corporate space, that my body wasn't equipped for the manufacturing world in the ways that I had hoped. And as I was eager to learn more about my health, about stress, about burnout, Kelly had an answer for me. And she introduced me to what would become my path. And so I am incredibly indebted to you, Kelly, for being willing to have that conversation with me because of where it has led me. But also, we have both grown so much in the 3 years since we've had that conversation. I can't believe that it has been 3 years since that fateful conversation.
It was pouring rain. I remember that. I remember that very vividly, and I was quite pregnant also.
That's right, pregnant with your first. Kelly
Yes.
is a mom of two. We also have the privilege of sharing together a birthday in that
Yes.
we gave birth to your second and my first on the same day.
Mhm.
So we have that in common. And the commonalities go on and on. We're both wives to coaches and men who work in the youth development space. Your husband is a college coach, and my
Mhm.
husband is in youth ministry. So
Mhm.
we've bonded over so many different things. But one thing that we're going to be bonding over today, and with you watching us, is about how to engineer your energy when you are so creative and when you have so many different ideas going through your mind that you don't know how to make sense of them, act on them, and really prioritize where and how you are focusing that energy, which
Mhm.
is Kelly's specialty. So, Kelly, I'm going to turn it over to you to fix any errors I just made in that introduction, but to tell us a little bit more about the problems you solve in the work that you do.
Absolutely. Well, first, you definitely know how to make a person feel very special. That was quite an introduction. And I want to add, I was not the reason that you're a coach. You're the reason you're a coach. And I was an instrument and a contact and a conversation and like a direction for you when we connected. And we're all like backwards here. This quote up here on the sign says, "For the little pilot lights waiting to ignite." That's part of a lyric from a song that has become my coaching anthem. And that exact conversation reflects that so much, is that like within coaching myself and Caroline as well, like we aren't like your end all be all. We aren't the big thing. We are like a pass through for you. We are where you come to when you're struggling with your ideas, when you have this inkling, when you have this like nudge or this calling of like something needs to change, whether it is in your physical health and your body and your energy, or career and calling, or relationship, or any of those sorts of things. Like I am, Caroline is, we are like the pass through. We're the we're for the little pilot lights waiting to ignite. And so like Caroline, you came to me, and I didn't know this was my song or my anthem at the time, but like hearing your story again, our story again, and reflecting to that, it just is so clear to me that that's what it was even back then, before I
Yeah.
realized like the power and potency of coaching, is that like I was there. You were flickering, you were flickering, and just us talking really lit that spark, and you took that from there. And so um I'm honored that I got to be that person to help you kind of ignite that spark. And it's been so amazing to just watch you grow and flourish in your own coaching as well. And I can see it in your life too, and in your motherhood, and in all the areas. And so um I just feel special that I get to be kind of that a partner in all of this with you as well. And so, yeah, I call myself the quirky business coach. And I love how this is called like engineering your energy, especially when we have big energy around big ideas.
Mm.
That can be great, and it can burn us out. Speaking of that little pilot light, that big flame, it can flicker the flame right out of us and can dull our sparkle if we that sounded very like Tinkerbell, but it can dull us if we don't pay attention to our energy. And so, like, what I know from you, Caroline, is you are so profound and helpful in helping people look at like their lifestyle habits, whether it's food, nutrition, stress, all of those things, a movement to help them engineer their energy, or maybe in a different way too, of like reduce opportunities for burnout.
Mhm.
And the same can be true for like the creative mind, who has so many ideas. And for people who are in STEM, I would argue you all are very creative people as well. There's a lot of times where people will tell me like, "Oh, but I'm not that creative." And that like breaks my heart. I think we are all creative people in completely different ways. Like for like
Mm.
creativity doesn't always come from like painting a wall, crazy colors and all of that. It's creativity isn't always arts and crafts or being an
Right.
artist or that kind of thing. It is essentially problem solving. It is seeing something in one way and seeing opportunity to optimize it, to change it, to make it better or make it more of your way in a way that serves you.
Yeah.
So, like, even, manipulating a spreadsheet, that's creative. Do I do
Yeah.
that? No, but that's creativity.
Yeah.
And so what I do as a coach is, especially when it comes to energy, is help people really pay attention and recognize what happens to their energy, especially with like the multi-passionate type of people, the creatives. Like, what happens to your energy when you have an idea? How does that feel in your body? And sometimes the real work for a lot of people, especially us people who are like emotionally ignited by like the creative ideas, is to kind of let that sit for
Mm.
a minute. Let that idea just be. And that was something that a coach of mine told me, a while back. I was like, I have so many good ideas. Like, their ideas, and trust me, they're all really good ideas too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And something she said just like helped everything. And she's like, okay, just let the ideas flow. And I was like,
Mm.
"What do you mean?" And it's essentially just like we get so energized by our ideas and also burnt out by our ideas when we let them spin and spin and spin and spin and spin in our head. So let the ideas flow. An idea comes to you, a creative project, something you want to do or change, like the right solution, the next best thing comes to you. Just simply get it out of your head and onto paper, and like trust that like it won't go away now because you've written it out, and that it will marinate over time. Like the right aspects of the idea will come to
Mm.
life, and you can pay attention when it's time to like ignite or launch into an idea of like, gosh, I'm glad I gave this time to let it produce, or the other way of like, that now isn't the time to run with this idea. And so that's a lot of the work that I do with coaching clients is, like I said, just really helping them kind of tune in to their own body when those surges of excitement or sparks of energy or ideas come, and also help them honor, and respect themselves. Like, you are a creative being. Your ideas are genius. I just did a live about this recently. Like, how would you show up if you truly believed, like, that is such a good idea? Like, you'd
Mm.
be so excited to talk about it that you wouldn't feel salesy, you wouldn't feel like marketing, like, at all. It would just be like, "Well, of course I have to talk about this because I know this idea is so good, and I know the right people will come to me that also see that as well." And so a lot of that work as well, just, like, having your own back is
Mm.
huge.
I talk with a lot of folks. I love networking on LinkedIn. I asked everybody I connect with into a virtual coffee chat because I just love to learn stories, love to learn backgrounds, what brought you to where you are. And so many times I talk with engineers who say the reason why I pursued engineering was because I wanted to make a difference in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I had ideas that I felt like could make a difference. And oftentimes when they get into industry, perhaps that speed they were expecting from their work is not fast, right? It's very slow, very tedious. You're working on a project for a long period of time, or you're being told exactly what to do, and there isn't a lot of room for that creativity that you assumed you would have in your role.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are an employee of an organization, and I know you work with entrepreneurs, but there's so much that can be applied across the board here. And when you're an employee for an organization and you're feeling that you cannot express your creativity, what would be some of the encouragement or the habits that you would have that individual implement so that they could feel fulfilled in that creative problem-solving identity?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that actually is something that just came up in a coaching call or conversation with one of my clients yesterday, who she actually she is an entrepreneur, but she also is a leader within her healthcare organization, and just talking about like the struggles of the system, of where she falls in the hierarchy, all of that kind of stuff. And um, at the spoiler alert, at the end of the call, the question I kind of left her with after talking through all of those components is just asking yourself, where are ways that you feel like perhaps you aren't nurturing yourself? Like, whether it be outside of work, like how can you nurture your own creativity, perhaps in the workspace? Like in what ways can you be creative about being creative in work? It can be something as little as like just turning on your favorite playlist and like getting those like high vibe energies there. Perhaps it's having the for some people, like the boldness or audacity to speak up with your idea. I think a lot of people are afraid to speak up with their idea because they are afraid of being shut down, or they have been shut down before and figure, what's the point? So it really comes back to asking, how can you nurture yourself? How can you nurture your own creativity and fill that bucket, whether it is, in the workplace or outside of the workplace as well. And also too, I do have a background in working in public health. And so that is two very different worlds, but yet so much the same. Like public health is extremely impactful, as is coaching. The impact is different. Public health, I specifically worked in policy change. Public health and policy change is a slow churn for perhaps a baby step change of a policy. And that can be challenging because you want that big result, that big impact to happen sooner than later. But to trust and know, like, part of the creativity, part of the work is doing it the right way, doing it the optimal way, doing it the way that, like, you are proud to back that work. And so there have been a number of policy change initiatives that I've been involved in where blood, sweat, and tears went into it, and it got time to like vote on the policy change, and the policy changed so much that me being the leader of the work, I was like, we can't support this anymore. Like, and that's just heartbreaking and challenging, but to like hold your integrity and trust and know like the work you're doing, whether like the finished product is even within your time in the organization, to trust and know, like, just like this sign wherever, oh, over here, like you are the flame, you are keeping the work alive, you're keeping it going, and um, your skills are moving the project forward, are bringing the project to light, and that impact is huge. And just like coaching, that impact is huge too, where we don't often know the ripple effect of our coaching. For example, like you and I, Caroline, when we first met, it was a one-on-one conversation. And, years down, 3, 4 years down the road, the ripple effect of that one conversation has been more than I know, and likely more than you know, because
Right.
you've connected with people as a result, and then those people have connected with people. So we don't often know like the whole entire ripple effect of our own impact as well.
Yeah.
And that can be really exciting and invigorating, and also like, well, I just want to know, like, who is
Mm.
it really helping? Who is this impacting? I don't know if that answers your question or not,
It
but
certainly does. It certainly does. One thing that came to mind as you were going through that was we're also very aware in this profession that change takes time, right? And that
mhm.
we're so used to immediate gratification, and that there seem to be so many possibilities for. I don't like to call them shortcuts. I like to call them express lanes,
Oh,
right?
mhm,
Like
mhm.
a weight loss express lane or a career advancement express lane, and that there are some really good options that exist in order to get down that path as quickly as possible. But there's always trade-offs with that.
Mhm,
That's a practice of honoring your yes and your no. What are you willing to give up in order to achieve what it is that you're wanting to achieve, and how does that affect you holistically? But one thing I love to do with clients is to keep track of all of those ideas, keep track of all of those goals that you set for yourself, that you say, sometime in my lifetime, I'd love to do X, Y, Z, because I think it can be such a powerful thing to look at that and realize I have the potential of life ahead of me, right? And
mhm.
yes, life could be short, it could end tomorrow. You could have 70 years. We could have 150 years. We have no idea what medicine will be able to do in the course of our lifetime, but to keep track of all of those goals, dreams, ideas can be very exciting to have those things to surround yourself with as
Mhm.
possibilities.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
So, for viewers who are watching, what are some simple habits that they could incorporate in their day-to-day life to kind of harness all of that inspiration, harness all of those ideas, and to feel like they're able to act upon them regardless of what the situation might be?
That's a great question, and it's for me, I guess I'm like a deep thinker. That's a loaded question too, because my
Yeah.
initial answer is to trust themselves, like trust their
Yeah.
ideas, and truthfully, like that's where a lot of the work in coaching is. So I don't say that to say like, gotcha, now you got to work with one of us as your coach, but I say that as like that's the foundation of like learning to trust yourself. And so just how you were sharing about like those yeses and those nos, like pay attention to like how your body feels when an idea comes, when an
Mm,
opportunity comes that you could like participate in a project or do something that either excites you, or like are you saying yes because, oh my gosh, like this is actually what I want, or are you saying yes out of obligation, out of people pleasing,
mm,
out of scarcity too, of like, well, I have to say yes to this because if I don't say yes, then then what other opportunities am I going to have? And to just really trust and honor yourself and your energy in that more like, I guess, like woo sounding way of like, how does it feel when an opportunity presents itself? And if we could turn this into like a daily ritual or a habit, is to really pause,
mm,
take a deep breath, perhaps even like close your eyes and just like take a moment to like think, will this be something I am glad I said yes to when execution or initiation time comes?
mhm, mhm.
Um, and really like slowing down and being in the pause before deciding yes or no about something.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's good advice really across the board, is to give
Mhm.
yourself the ability to pause and reflect before you're making that decision, and to be even more confident about what that might come to fruition as in the long run.
Mhm.
Kelly, thank you so much for joining me today. How can the viewers who are watching us across all of our channels learn more about you, get in touch with you, and know what it is like to harness some of that creativity?
Yeah. So my website is livewellwithkel.com, how my name is typed here, all double L's, Live Well With Kell. And then I'm on Instagram and Facebook, all as Live Well with Kell, and then on LinkedIn as Kelly McIntee. So you can find me.
Wonderful. Well, I certainly encourage you to do that. Whether you're watching today live, thank you for being here, or if you're watching this on replay, we appreciate you giving your time and your attention to learning more about how to engineer your energy, how to ensure that when you wake up each and every day that you feel like you have a robust toolkit of ways that you can prioritize your energy, increase your fulfillment and your productivity along the way. We at Milton Coaching Collective believe in a future where we feel holistically and bio-individually empowered to work our best, because we are so deeply aware of what our body needs, what our mind needs in order to work well. Every Thursday I go live for these Engineer Your Energy Lunch and Learns. Next Thursday will also be a special time. It's going to be at 2 o'clock in the afternoon Central Standard Time. My guest is on the West Coast, so it will be over her lunch. And we're going to be talking about mindfulness. And I will have with me the owner of Gromance with Pavi. Pavi's going to be talking with us all about mindfulness, how to incorporate that into the workplace. So make sure that you like, follow, subscribe, depending on the channel you're watching, so that you catch that conversation and all future conversations we have here. Thanks for being with us today, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.